Hello, my name's Josh, and in this second video, we're going to be looking at walkability and access radius within QGIS, and then what this could be used for in the future. So to start off with, you can go to pedestriancatch.com, and this website will analyze the walking paths of people depending on the gradients of the terrain for the pathways. So we're going to be looking at which houses, the number of houses within Footscray, within a 10-minute walk from Footscray Station. So to start this, we'll look for Footscray Station in the PedCatch, which we can see here. Might just move this dot to be more on top of where you get out of in the station. Okay. Then what you want to do, we can leave this walking speed at 1.33, and we've got the time set to 10 minutes at the moment, and we'll leave this gradient on as well. And you just want to change your isolation type to an offset buffer of 25 meters, and I'll show you why. I'll do one measurement without the 25 meters. And what happens when you don't have the offset buffer, the walking path of the people isn't very accurate to what it would typically be. As you can see here, it's quite rigid. Here's a map I did earlier. Okay. Let's jump back. This one. Here we go. If we do another map with the offset buffer, you'll see that it's a bit more of an organic path. There we are. You can see compared to the last map, it's much less rigid, much more organic. Now this map isn't 100% accurate. There are some paths which might not be drawn out on the lines in OpenStreetMaps, but this should be accurate enough for us for this study. So the data type we want to download in for using QGIS is the KML scenario, which you can just download that KML scenario. I've downloaded it already. And then we'll go to our QGIS file and we'll just quickly set up our map. Zoom into our area in Footscray. There we are. Now the first thing we want to do is figure out where the residential buildings are within Footscray. So to do this, we'll get the buildings for Footscray overlay, which I explained in the previous video how to access, and the zoning overlay. Now in our zoning overlay, the data we're wanting to get, here we go. Oops. We'll go by description. There we go. We only want the residential zones and the mixed use zones, because these are the zones that will be including residential people's housing. There we go. I'm just doing this so we can see where these areas are. I believe we might be missing a spot. Let's reclassify that. We'll get rid of all those. Okay. And then what we can... Okay, and to select the features which we have visible on the map, we can go to the attribute table. Instead of having show all features, just go show features visible on map. And what we can do is we can just invert the selection, and that will select all of those residential zones. And we'll right click this layer and export the selected features. Call it general residential zones and neighborhood residentials. Override that layer. Interesting. It's okay. Just quickly do that to this layer here. Looks good. Okay. Okay, here we are. Right. And then what we can do is we can use the select by location to get the buildings within the zones. So what we'll do is we'll go select features from the buildings in Footscray and select them from the general residential zones. Run this process quickly. You should see, there we are. They're all our buildings that are selected, and we'll export that selected feature. Call them buildings within the res zone. There we go. Now what we want to do is we'll grab that file which we had earlier. There you go, grab our pedcatch file. We'll just drop that in. And what we'll want is the convex hulls. You can drop in all the layers, but we'll just use the convex hulls for this example. And this is displaying our 10-minute walk from Footscray Station. And we'll just categorize that so we can understand it a little bit better. There we go, description, that's what we're looking for. Classify. And I always delete these quite large readings as well. And I'll just keep in the smallest reading out of the maximums. And again, we'll just reorganize these layers and we'll add a gradient to them. And we'll just put a overlay as well. So now we can see the areas that are within 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10-minute walk. Now what we want to do is we can do a select by location again. We'll select the features from the buildings within the res zone from our convex hulls. We'll run this simulation. In fact, maybe we'll re-import this layer. We'll just go with our maximum distance polygon. Let's just make it one single fill, 50%. It's not wanting to work that way. We can just select that 10-minute feature and we can just export the selected layer again. Call it there we are. Call it the 10-minute walk from Footscray Station. Make sure it's set to the same project coordinates. Okay. Turn that layer off. Just make the visibility 50% again. There we are. Okay, and we can do that select by location again. Buildings within the res zone that are intersecting and within that 10-minute walk from Footscray. Which we can see here, there are a couple which aren't inside, but that should be okay. Again, we'll just want to export this selected feature. We'll call this buildings within a 10-minute walk from Footscray Station. Just make sure your layer is on the exact same zone so not having any issues. We'll apply that. Now, a way that we can use this, make these red. A way that we can use this is we could say that the buildings within a 10-minute walk from Footscray Station, maybe the buildings that are within, so there's 8-minute radius here, maybe there's 8-minute radius buildings, they could be a high density building. Okay, thank you for listening to my video.